Today, most electric vehicles sold in India are all about luxury or making up the kilometers. But Porsche, who's been in the sports car game for a long time, thinks very differently. They have decided to put fun and performance and driving experience into electric cars. And what is the result of that? This vehicle, the Porsche Taycan. It's been launched in India recently and is a hope for all driving enthusiasts when it comes to fun EVs of the future. Now, after the launch, we've had a chance to have a closer look at the vehicle, and here's what we found out. Just one glance at the Taycan, and you can see that it shares much of its silhouette with the larger Panamera sedan, but that's where the similarities end. The Taycan EV is a completely new approach to the way Porsche builds its cars. It's taken its traditional design and shape that people closely associate with Porsche, but has included new design elements to bring the cars into the future. Now, some of those highlights include these headlamps, which are the quad design that's been kind of on Porsche models, but is a completely new shape here and are full LED units. Another design element is this extremely large hood that slopes forward and gives the car its definitive sportiness. It kind of has similar vibes to what the 918's supercar had before. Now, given that this is an EV, the grille is much smaller, and this has allowed Porsche to kind of bring the car lower and also, make the hood bigger. Overall, if you look at the face of the Taycan, you know it's a Porsche, but there's quite a bit of modernity, which is a sign of what direction Porsche is taking for the future. Now, it's in profile that you notice that the Taycan is long, low, and has its extremely sporty stance. The highlights here include these heavily flared wheel arches in the front and back, the electric badge, that charging port door which is there on both sides and is touch operated, as well as these 20-inch wheels, which is rather fancy design. Now, these are optional extras, and you can actually go for 21s as well as other multiple designs that's there on Porsche's massive options list that's available for this car. In terms of actual overall design, it's really beautiful and there's no mistaking that it's a Porsche. Now, one of the elements that we missed out, but I'll point out to you right now, are these flush door handles. Now, if you have the keys in your pocket and you walk up to the car, the door handles actually pop out, and it's a kind of invitation for you to get inside and experience this wild EV power that's available. Now, while the front and side of the Taycan are quite unique and kind of tell you where Porsche is going with the future and show you future design, the rear is a little more conventional, sharing a lot of elements with the current Porsche range. This includes the shape and the way the roof slopes down, this Porsche logo here that's illuminated, the Taycan badging as well as the font, this button to access the boot, as well as this light bar that shows up beautifully when the car starts. It's one of those things where if you're stuck in heavy traffic and you see the car from behind, you know you're following a Porsche, whether it's a conventional one or a car of the future. Now, while the exterior of this all-electric super saloon, the Porsche Taycan, shows a lot of modern design elements and direction in which Porsche will be going with this car in future in terms of exterior design, the interior is actually a little more traditional, and I guess there seems to be a very good reason for that, which is that if you need to make the transition, if you need to bring your buyers, which in case of Porsche is actually well over 5 decades of enthusiasts, then you need to have the same look, touch, feel, quality and elements that's there in your conventional cars, so that it's easier for people to transition from those vehicles to these vehicles without feeling any kind of awkwardness or oddness that, oh, I'm sitting in an electric vehicle and so on and so forth. And so once you get inside, the interiors are actually quite standard Porsche fare that you get with all of its cars. In terms of look, quality, touch, feel, everything is it's exactly the same. And this being a Porsche, everything feels high quality, good to touch, ergonomics are great, it's easy to access everything. Of course, one big change on this car in front especially are these 3 massive screens. This one here on the right is the instrument cluster, which is a full digital display showcasing a lot of information, highly customizable. This one in the center is the infotainment screen, while that one, it's an optional extra actually, is a third screen for the passengers that has the same functions as this. And you can use this as dual displays to have infotainment and maps, or if you're out on the racetrack, you can have car information as well as your lap timings and things like that here. Now it's because this is a Porsche, and you're meant to feel like you're sitting in a sports car. Everything feels snug and a bit tight around you, which is nice in a way, because especially when you consider that this is a car that does 0 to 100 in about 2.8 seconds, and that's incredible by just about any standard. It's nice and reassuring to have something that fits tightly around you. One possible, I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage, but thing that might exist for someone on the larger side like me, ingress and egress may be a bit tight because the roofline is low, the seats are low, they're snug and tight, but I mean, that is the way it is. Porsches have always been about driving experience, so it's tight up like that. There's actually a fourth screen here in the center console that's meant for your climate control system, and it's a touchscreen system, and there's no physical buttons at all, and it pretty much controls everything. There's also a car function where you can look at charging, where you can open the frunk, or where you can open the boot also. And also it gives you charging information, which in this case is 66%, which equates to about 213 kilometers of range. And overall, Porsche says 458 kilometers of range. I mean, you can do the math and figure that out later. Again, like I said, quality, fit and finish is actually really nice. Everything falls easily to hand, high quality touch, and things basically that are familiar to Porsche owners and will help in the transition in terms of long-term usage. One of the other nice things here is, while it doesn't have paddle shifters because this is an electric car, you get this little drive mode dial that helps you select various drive modes, and it's in a very accessible spot. And this design for this drive mode button being here has come from Porsche's long-standing racing heritage, especially I guess from its LMP and Le Mans vehicles. Now, while the front was all about the screens, the racing buckets, and being snug, tight, and in a position to enjoy your driving experience, the rear is actually quite tight, especially if you're on the larger side, someone like me. Now, here are some of the highlights. One is this center aircon vents with their own temperature control. This, I believe, is an optional extra in the list, and if you buy the car just as a base standard, I don't think it's an option available. Space isn't all that great. You don't have much knee room or headroom because of the way the roof is curved, and also this bucket seat kind of intrudes at this point, which means that you're going to be sitting snugly. It's more or less a space for two people because there's a high center console. There's actually no second seat, and in this case it's a kind of pad here. You get a center armrest with two cup holders and these nice cushy leather seats that hold you in place, so that while your driver's flying around at great speeds, you can also be tightly in and enjoy the experience. You get this glass roof that gives you a nice view of the outside and actually adds to the overall glass house experience. You get frameless doors and large windows, which means that you actually get a lot of light coming into the car. Overall, it's actually a really nice place to be in if you can adjust with the reduced space and the headroom and legroom. We will of course give you full exterior and interior highlights once we get to drive the car and spend more time with it, which we believe will be around early 2022. Now, if you want to be on top of that and want to know when that happens, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to be notified when we put out all our videos, including this latest review of this Porsche Taycan. Stay tuned for that. Now, the Porsche Taycan in India will be offered in 8 versions across 2 body styles. What you see in our video is the standard Taycan Super Sedan, and it can be had as the Taycan 4S, the Taycan Turbo, and the Taycan Turbo S. The other body style is the Cross Turismo, which is essentially a wagon version of the sedan and can be had in the 4 trims as the standard car. But in the Cross Turismo version, all versions get all-wheel drive. At the very heart of the Taycan's performance is its electric powertrain, and boy is it something worthy of the Porsche badge. The base Taycan sedan can be had with 321 bhp or 374 bhp output from the electric motor and is powered by a 79.2 kWh battery pack and is rear-wheel drive only. All the other models get all-wheel drive and have outputs in the range of 429 bhp all the way to 616 bhp. These models get dual electric motors and a larger 93.4 kWh battery pack. All versions get an overboost function and torque in the range of 345 Nm to 1050 Nm, making this one of the first cars to be sold in India with a 4-digit torque figure. It's a slightly different story with the Cross Turismo range, where all versions get all-wheel drive and outputs are in the range of 374 bhp to 616 bhp. They get the same capacity battery packs, overboost function and torque figures as their sedan counterparts. 0 to 100 kmph times are in the range of 5.4 seconds to a race car like 2.8 seconds and 2.9 seconds for the Taycan Turbo S and Cross Turismo Turbo S respectively. At the time of making this video, Porsche has only released the price of the entry-level model, which is Rs 1.50 crore All India ex-showroom. This is a full CBU and deliveries will begin in the first quarter of 2022. Sources have indicated that the first full batch allocated for India has been booked out. The Porsche Taycan exists in a new and growing EV range where it goes up against a slew of vehicles like the Mercedes-Benz EQC, Audi e-tron GT and Jaguar I-Pace, as well as future models from BMW and Maserati that are expected to arrive in India next year. So there you have it, everything that we've had in the short time that we've had with this Porsche all-electric Taycan, a car that's been derived from the highly successful Mission E concept that was showcased in 2015. Now it's like we said, it's a glimpse of what to expect from future Porsche models and it looks extremely promising, giving hope to driving enthusiasts, car enthusiasts, that EVs will not just be about luxury or kilometers, but will also be about enjoying their driving experience, having fun behind the wheel and having that joy of driving a car. Now these are just some first glimpses of the vehicle. Like we said, we'll be getting a chance to drive the car at the start of next year and we'll be able to give you a complete detailed review of not just what the interiors and exteriors are like, but driving experience as well, and to understand things like range and cornering speed and that kind of stuff. For all the details on the Porsche Taycan, do visit our website carwale.com. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.